On this week's episode of The Insider, Superintendent of the Hanford Joint Union High School District, Victor Rosa, joins us again to give an update on all of the construction projects completed this year on our high school campuses, including a sneak peek at the remodeled Neighbor Bowl, which will reopen just in time for high school graduations next week. Rob will have a surprising update from the Hanford City Council, and then I'll be back to reflect on some highlights from high school sports throughout the past year. This is the Hanford Insider for Monday, May 27th.
Welcome to this episode of the Hanford Insider. I'm your host, Rob Bentley. Thanks for listening. Don't forget that on next week's episode, I'm planning a special shout-out show for the graduating students this year. Simply go to my website at hanfordinsider.com, click on the microphone icon, and record your special message. Here's an example.
My name is Janet Escobar, and I'd like to give a special shout out to my daughter Katrina, who is graduating from Hanford West High School. You go, girl. Papa and I are so proud of you.
Just a little message like that can be so special. I'll put all of the messages together and air them on the next episode of the Hanford Insider. It's absolutely free. The weather this week is going to warm up with daytime highs approaching 100 degrees by the end of the week. In community news, the Hanford City Council held a special meeting on Thursday to reconsider filling the seat that is being vacated by Kalish Morrow. After a few days to cool off after the last meeting, the council members had a chance to reconsider the situation and wanted to move forward with appointing someone to replace Councilman Morrow. This will happen at the June 4th meeting. This appointment will only be until the November election. Because she wanted to exercise her right to be involved in the appointment process before she moves, the council and staff decided to fast-track the process. Letters of interest and resume are to be emailed to the city clerk by 4 p.m. this Friday, May 31st. The council will then review the applications at the study session next Tuesday afternoon before appointing her replacement at the regular city council meeting later that evening. Some may have been wondering why the District C seat recently vacated by Diane Sharp was not also up for appointment. I'm not on the City Council or on the city staff, but I do think that with a short amount of time remaining to appoint someone for District C and appoint someone for District B, that'd be a huge, if not impractical, thing to do at this point. As I said, the voters will have their say for District B and District C in the November election. Anyone interested in running for the City Council in those areas can begin the process next month, I think, at the County Elections Office. As we found out this week, things can change in an instant. Be sure to follow the City of Hanford on social media so that you are notified when the next big thing happens. Here are some things coming up on our community calendar. As you'll hear later in this episode, Neighbor Bowl will be reopening in time for high school graduations next week. Hanford West will be graduating on Wednesday, Hanford High on Thursday, and Sierra Pacific on Friday night. Graduations will begin at 8 p.m. each evening. At the Thursday Night Marketplace this week, it's National Creativity Day. The band In Coots will be providing the entertainment. Saturday, June 1st is Home Garden Appreciation Day from 12 to 4. The Kings County Symphony Orchestra Pops in the Park concert will be held Sunday, June 2nd in the Civic Auditorium Park, beginning at 6:30 p.m. Admission is free. The Kings Players are presenting A Penny for Your Thoughts at the Temple Theater each weekend during the month of June. Visit kingsplayers.org for showtimes and tickets. The City of Hanford Parks and Community Services Department will be holding a summer day camp at the Longfield Center from June 10th to August 9th. Contact the city for more information and registration. Spots are limited. The Carnegie Museum is also gearing up for their third annual Downtown Hanford Car Show on June 8th. Register now at carnegiecarshow.com. I'll be grabbing events as I see them on the Hanford Sentinel calendar and social media pages. If you have an event coming up and you'd like some help getting the word out, let's work together. Send your information to hanfordinsider@gmail.com. Be sure to subscribe to my weekly newsletter to get a complete calendar of events. Well, it's certainly a pleasure to welcome back to the show Dr. Victor Rosa, who is the superintendent of the Hanford Joint Union High School District. And it's been a great year, hasn't it, Victor?
It really has. It's my pleasure to be on the show again.
Victor, you were one of my first guests, and I really appreciate you stepping out in faith and trusting me with delivering the message that you had back in August. And I know that part of that message that you had was all the exciting things that were coming for Hanford, not only the community, but obviously your schools and everything, all the programs that you run. And a big part of the conversation focused around construction projects and upgrades and infrastructure. We don't have a whole lot of time, but can you just highlight some of the projects that have been completed and maybe some that are down the road?
Absolutely. I think the last time we talked, we were just about wrapping up some of the remodel at Hanford High, as far as classroom remodels, the cafeteria, all of that sort of thing, things we were doing there, air conditioning upgrades. And about a year prior to that, wrapped up all of the remodels at Hanford West. But since that time, that was back in August, since that time, we have spent a lot of time and effort and dollars on the presentation center. So a lot of this is focused on Hanford High. Hanford High has 2 district facilities that all of our schools use. So it looks like it's Hanford High heavy, but in reality, all of our schools benefit from it. So that presentation center is one of them. We did all new seating in there, new sound system, new mics, new stage extension, new lighting, a lot of new things going on there, and still a few things that are coming. All of it will be recarpeted this summer, and then the lobby will have new flooring and some upgrades there. So we're really excited for that. Obviously, all of our schools and the community use that presentation center a lot. So those upgrades were not only needed, they just allow us to put on better productions, and we've seen that this season.
That presentation center has been in use since I was in high school. That was a while back. But I remember actually my parents had been on the fundraising committee to raise money for the curtains and the lights and the sound. Everything that was put inside the theater was actually fundraised by the community, because at the time when the district built the theater, it did not include those things. So I have a special tie to that theater in my upbringing, and I actually worked backstage and saw all of the things that needed to be done over the years. And as a band director taking my groups there to perform, I saw the continued deterioration of the theater. And I am just so happy for the performing arts teachers who get to show off their stuff in that new theater. I know it's going to be great, and it's going to last for many more years to come. Aside from Hanford High, I know the Hanford West project got a lot of attention, and you've also upgraded all of your facilities at all of the campuses. Can you highlight some of the improvements that have been made, even at the adult school? I see all these new signs, a great way to get the message out.
Every campus was hit in some way. The adult school was probably almost the least by only having the marquee, but a few upgrades in some classrooms, that sort of thing there. We completely built a brand new community day school behind Earl F. Johnson. So that's basically a new campus. It's only about 50 kids, but it's, a new site for them. Sierra Pacific, which had obviously already had a lot of attention and a lot of projects with the pool and all that, the new administration building, the new library, all of those things, where we then added field lighting and more practice fields for them as part of this project as well. Hanford West got a lot of remodel, brand new parking lot, brand new tennis courts. They're still in need of a new pool. That's probably going to be one thing that's going to still have to happen. Probably going to take another bond for that, but we know there's a need for them. We also made a lot of changes on Campus Drive, working with the city to make that a better flow. If you notice, turn lanes and all sort of thing moved. We have a new drop-off area along there. The bus drop-off, all of those things were great for Hanford West, but primarily for them, it was classroom remodels. Their wellness center was built, upgrades to their baseball, just a lot of great things there at Hanford West to kind of bring it up to speed. And then again, very similar things at Hanford High. We did some, I'll jump to Earl F. Johnson actually first. Earl F. Johnson got a wellness center and upgrades in their classrooms as well, marquees. The big marquees are obviously on the 3 comprehensive campuses. They're eye-catching. and really important. And in reality, one of the other things that happened in that is we bought a new building for our new district office. So that's, the beginnings of that demo is happening now. And our current office is actually going to be the new home of Hanford Online Charter. So they'll be moving off of the adult school campus. They'll have a big fancy marquee out front too. And so all of our schools receive something. But the attention right now, the bulk of the construction happening is at Hanford High. A lot of, obviously I went to school there. You went to school there. Most of the community went to school there. And so there's always that reminder of just the history and rich history that's there and the passion for things that are happening there. So we heard a lot about baseball needing some renovations. So we spent some time on the baseball fields at Hanford High. We added new path of travel to softball, to the JV court. So there are sidewalks to all of those things. We still have a snack bar that's going to be going, a snack bar and bathrooms that are going in actually at all 3 campuses for baseball. So we're excited about that. That's going to be happening in the next year or so. Kensington lot there.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Kensington lot.
Okay.
We're going to get to the stadium in just a minute, but those dozers are hauling on those tennis courts. And I understand the community has, they heard about all these improvements to the stadium. And one of the big things they were saying, what about the parking lot? So before we move to the stadium, let's talk about that corner of campus there at the corner of Kensington and Grangeville.
Sure. It's interesting because almost every angle of Hanford High now, whether you're on Kensington, on Dowdy, or on Grangeville, is going to have something new in the visitor. Obviously that new corner parking lot on Dowdy and Grangeville and the new student entrance was a big deal. But those tennis courts were an eyesore. I mean, we all used them. Communities used them, but they were cracked. The fencing looked terrible. The shade cloths looked terrible. And if you've got a low rider, you don't want to ride through the Kensington lot. There were the potholes, everything were pretty bad. And it was, if you couple that with a brand new pool and all of the things that have happened there, it just really was an eyesore. So this summer, the Kensington lot will all be completely pulled up. That will all be new asphalt and new parking lot there. And the tennis courts, there was no more repair. They literally had to just rip it out down to the dirt. Fencing and all, and those will be all brand new tennis courts there for not only our students but for the community as well. And again, just an eyesore and maybe even a little bit of a safety concern, all fixed in one shot.
For sure.
None of this is cheap to do, and it's all very time consuming. But we're excited. More than any of the other campuses, Hanford High has had a facelift that's visible to the community. That was much needed.
Well, we are so excited for the class of 2024. They are going to be the first ones to graduate in the brand new Neighbor Bowl. That place looks awesome. Can you tell us about some of the upgrades that have been made to the field and surrounding areas?
Absolutely, and I'm excited too. That has been the most nerve-wracking and most exciting project all in one. We had such a tight timeline to wait for football to wrap up and then graduations to begin. And all in all, it's gone pretty smoothly. We didn't get a lot of delays, and so that looks good. I remember when I first looked at the plan and we were making approvals, I thought there is no way this stuff is going to fit. I couldn't envision how the new snack bar and bathrooms and ticket booth and all of those things were going to fit in between the bowl and Kensington. Well, now you can see how it all fits, and it fits well. But that is a major project. It's an $11.5 million remodel. And a lot of those funds are going to things that aren't necessarily fun and exciting, but are important when you're doing a remodel. And that's ADA compliance and making sure people can get to where they need to be. So I'll start on the visitor side. The visitor side, a lot of people are like, why are you spending so much time and money on the visitor side? Well, that visitor side is our side when we're having games that are across, district, where Hanford West plays Sierra Pacific and so forth, but also for graduation. We always felt like the people whose graduate was on the visitor side, didn't have nearly as much seating and weren't able to see their graduate as much. So we expanded that. It is now the exact same width as the home side. So we added bleachers to the west and to the east. that is all redone. All of those years of paint that we did as students when we used to be able to paint those bleachers, if you remember those days, that's all been, I don't know, probably 2 inches thick of paint been removed and all resurfaced. There's now a handicap seating area that is up on that top tier. So there are ramps that allow for that, for people to be able to view from there. Then you jump to the home side bleachers, and if you you're a band guy, you recall how those steps were. There was this odd yellow step, and I can't tell you how many times I saw people trip. There were no handrails or any of that sort of thing. They were narrow, so that has all been remedied. Those steps are now all even. They're wider. They have handrails for our community and guests. And one of the biggest changes you'll see on that home side is they removed those lower 2 bleachers and added now almost like a ramp where disabled people can actually have wheelchairs there without having to be on the track. So they're still elevated a bit, not blocking anyone. You can sit with your family and guests. And so there are ramps and everything for that. But the big change, that's not the only big change. Just the scoreboard, if you've seen that, that is a monster. That's a brand new large LED scoreboard. And of all of the things I'm excited about is that we won't have to look at this little 2 foot by 3 foot flag anymore. Because if you recall the old system, you couldn't have a big flag on that flagpole because it would cover the scoreboard. So all of that has been moved. We'll have a proper flag now in the front, which is where the new entrance is. And that new entrance off of Kensington is really beautiful. The community will say it, and I wish we could have a huge parking lot there for everybody right across from it, but we can't. We're landlocked there. But that new entry, first of all, you go straight into the new ticket booths, all air conditioned, new bathrooms, both men's and women's, accessible from the visitor side and the home side, all air conditioned and much needed. And then a snack bar that is large and accommodates all of the schools and air conditioned.
So in our August episode, you had mentioned the personalization of the tunnel and the being able to customize it to each school so they feel like it's a home game and they're not using necessarily the Hanford High Stadium, that you've got a customizable experience in the tunnel. Can you tell us how that turned out?
Sure. The tunnel is still being poured at this point, but it will be done in time for graduations. In essence, the scoreboard and the tunnel can change color. So everything there can either be blue or green or red, depending on what we want during that time. The place itself, we really went with the branding of Neighbor Bowl. It's always been Neighbor Bowl, but we really focused on that. There's some large block lettering, the new entry, all that sort of thing, really focuses on Neighbor Bowl. But we want to give schools that experience of being able to have their colors flying and really kind of customize it. Everything's sort of a muted gray and black out there so that it wasn't allegiant to any specific school. And we had plenty of community members say, why can't we build a bowl for each school? Well, we just don't have the money for that. Even Clovis, with all of their money, doesn't still share stadiums just like everyone else. But we're really excited to be able to have that for our teams to come through and our graduates to be able to come through that new tunnel. It's really is neat. It's basically this LED lighting that kind of makes the thing glow into whatever color you of the school.
That sounds so fantastic. I am so excited for everyone to see it at the graduation ceremonies. And I know that the football teams and track and soccer, everybody that's the bands that are going to get to use it, it's going to be an exciting fall season, and I can't wait to see it. Before we close, do you have any special shout outs to your team there at the high school district that you'd like to congratulate on a great year, or maybe even some of the people that have helped you with all these projects?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to thank the entire team. We have nearly 500 people here in the district, and none of this is possible without them. I mean, everyone was affected in some way through construction and the discomfort of having to move rooms or move furniture or dust and all parking, all of those things. And everyone has been wonderful in that respect. We started these remodels right when COVID hit. And so, you couple so many of these projects that have happened in the last 5 years with the inconvenience and adversity that has hit with us as well. And the team's been fantastic. And from a perspective of our maintenance and custodial and IT and all of those crews that have hands-on these projects, they're the ones moving furniture, they're the ones working with making sure the grass stays green on the field, all of those things, they have been integral in making this work. And of course, Renee Creech, who's the assistant superintendent, and Ben Stidman, who is director of MOT, they're the ones who have these weekly meetings. Oh, Julie Fagundes as well in the business department. They have these weekly meetings with these contractors, and they are bulldogs at keeping everything on task. And I couldn't appreciate them more. They make me just have to work with community and answer community questions. They're doing that real difficult work of holding those contractors to the fire, and they've done a great job of it.
Well, that's fantastic. You've assembled a great team there. Some of them have been there for many years, and others have just come on recently. But I know the community is very proud of the work that's being done and will continue to be done, and we can't wait to see what comes next.
Thank you. We are too, and I would be remiss to not thank the community. A little over half of all these projects were based on Measure W, which the community supported in 2016. And it's amazing that it's coming to fruition, now, but we couldn't do it without the support of our community. And you. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate you highlighting us and getting the real information out there.
All right. Thank you.
And now it's time for Hanford Insider Sports with Eric Bentley.
With graduation around the corner and sports season in the rearview mirror, let's give you some of the exciting moments that brought Hanford pride, accolades, and recognition this past year. We'll start all the way back in the fall with football, where Sierra Pacific got off to a historic 6-0 start, including a 34-19 victory in the Clash of the Claws matchup over Hanford West. Though the Golden Bears cooled off a bit towards the end of the year, their season-long performance was deserving of Coach Ryan DeSantos being named the Tri-County Sequoia League Coach of the Year. Sticking with football, Hanford High left their name in the headlines quite a bit as they secured a WYL championship, including a regular season victory over Lemoore in the Milk Can. A handful of individual players also took the next step to competing at the next level, as Cordy Glass in his junior season for the Bullpups was named the WYL Offensive Player of the Year, while also committing to play D1 football at Oregon State. Daniel Gomez, also a junior, reclassified his commitment to play at the D1 level, switching from Fresno State to San Jose State. And Coach Cannon Sanchez was named the WYL Coach of the Year after leading the Bullpups to the WYL Championship, and he continues to give back to the community as he'll be hosting a youth football camp this Saturday, the 1st. And with basketball, Sierra Pacific varsity girls basketball was able to pick up a league title, followed by the news that legendary coach Amy Bush would be stepping down, giving the way for assistant Victor Chavarin to take the reins of a program that in a very short time has built a storied legacy. And lastly, like you've heard many times here on The Insider, facilities upgrades at all campuses that will have a positive effect not only on all of our students, but also on our student athletes. We'll start with Neighbor Bowl renovations. The visitor side is getting a renovation with new ADA seating, upgrades to the Kensington lot, a new track, and a new video board that, like we mentioned, will be done in time for graduation. At Hanford West, parking flow upgrades continue on Campus Drive, as well as tennis court and baseball field upgrades. And at Sierra Pacific, field lighting and practice field improvements have been made. And since the season has come to a close, we will take a break from sports coverage over the summer. A huge congratulations from all of us here to the graduating seniors. And as always, if you have any off-season stories that you'd like us to cover, please feel free to send them to hanfordinsider@gmail.com. I'm Eric Bentley, and this has been your Hanford Insider Sports Report.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week's show. If you'd like to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Hanford Insider and make a donation. If you'd like to join the Hanford Insider email list, stop by my website at hanfordinsider.com to sign up for updates. You'll also get an exclusive copy of my newsletter in your inbox each week. You can also send me feedback by voicemail through the website by clicking on the microphone icon. I'd love to hear from you. Your comments may even be shared on the show. I also need your help getting the word out about the show by liking and sharing on social media or telling a friend. For more information about the show, you can find this podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, and YouTube at Hanford Insider. If you have a show idea, be sure to email me at hanfordinsider@gmail.com and I'll look into it. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.